Okay, so today we're going to talk about just an introduction to graphing, and the objectives of this section are to understand the coordinate system, and then make and read scatter plots and make and read line graphs. Okay, so we're going to start with the terminology, which you need to know. I haven't lined it all out here, I'm just going to talk about it. So the rectangular coordinate system is this right here, the XY plane. There are 4 quadrants, and you need to know which is which. Quadrant 1 is in the top right, and then it goes around counterclockwise. So we've got quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. This right here is called an ordered pair. An ordered pair. The X always comes first, and the Y comes second. The origin is in the center. So this right here is called the origin. I may need to delete that when we get working on the points, but that is the origin. Okay, and this is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis, and together they are called axes. So axis, and then plural is axes, not axes, but axes. All right, so we're going to look at plotting these ordered pairs here. So I'll do mine in green. So 3, 2 is the first one, and so the way we do this, remember the first one is x, and the second one is y. So we're going to come over to 3, and we're going to go up to 2, and we're going to end up right here. So right 3, up 2. So positive is right or up, negative is left or down. All right, the next one is -2, -3, so we go left to the 2. So we go left this way to 2, and then we go -3, so we're going to go down to -3 right here. I'm going to delete those lines so that it's not quite so messy, but we end up with -2, -3 right here. All right, so we get -3, 0 is the next one, so -3, so we're going to go left from the origin to -3 right here, and then we end up at 0. We don't go up or down, so we stop and we end up right at the -3 on the x-axis. So that's -3, 0. All right, so why don't you take a moment and try to do these 3. Pause the video and then come back and see where the points are. Okay, I'm going to do this with you just so you can see which is which, but 5, 1 is going to be over to the right 5 and up 1, so that would be right here, 5, 1. So I'll even label it for you, 5, 1. And then 2, -4, so we come over right 2, and then down 4, so we end up right here. So this is 2, -4. And then the next one is -6, 5. So we're going to come all the way over to -6 and then up to 5, and we end up here in the second quadrant. So this one is -6, 5. Okay, next we're going to talk about making and reading scatter plots. Scatter plots are plots of points that are not connected. So a scatter plot I have right here is distinct points plotted in the XY plane. So don't draw a line between them. That's the key to understanding the difference between scatter plots and line graphs. All right, so let's try example 2. So in example 2, we are asked to make a scatter plot of gasoline prices. We're not given a graph. We have to figure out what the axes are going to be. So take a look at what we're working with. We've got years and cost per gallon. So time is pretty much, I think I can say always, on the x-axis. Time is the x-axis because the x-axis is the independent variable, and independent means it doesn't depend on the other one. The year does not depend on the cost. The cost depends on the year. So this is then going to be the y-axis. All right, so now we have to figure out how to label this. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to put year. And then over here I'm going to put cost. And I'm going to put in parentheses per gallon. Leave plenty of room to put our numbers. Okay, so next we have to put our years. So first we have to look and see what's going on. We've got 1960 up to 2010 going by tens. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different years, and we have to look at our graph here and see how much room we have. So I'm just going to say let's say that 1960 is going to be here. So 1960, and then we'll go 70, 80, 90, 2000. Oh, and we went off the edge. So I'll have to make 1960 the first one, knowing that there are more years before that. Okay, so 1960 is going to be right here, 1970, and then 1980, and I don't have room to write every one unless I turn sideways, which I can't do that very easily here. So I'm just going to do it this way, 1960, 1980, and then I've got 2000 here, and that would make that one to 2010. All right, so now the cost per gallon is going to be along the y-axis, and I'm even going to change colors. So the cost per gallon is going to be, of course, 0 at the bottom, or whatever you want to make it, but it's going up to 273 cents is the highest. So we might want to go up to like 300. So let's see, we've got 50, we could do 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300. And if I min any more than that, we're going to go off the graph. So I'm just going to start and say 50. We'll make this one 100, 150. This will be 200, 250, and this will be 300. So this will be the top of our graph. So we don't need all this up here. And of course, you could just extend the graph and go up a little bit higher, and that's fine too. All right, so 1960. The cost per gallon is 31 cents. So 1960, there's 50 right there. So it's going to be, I don't know, right around in there. And 1970 is in here. So, and that's 36 cents. Ooh, still less than 50. So we're going to be right in there. 1980, it went up to 119 cents. It's $1.19, which is going to be about right there. Maybe that's a little too high. And then 1990 is 115 cents, so maybe a little bit lower. Of course, this isn't very precise on this graph. Let's see, 2000 is 156, so we're going to go a little over 150, just a tiny bit over. And then 2010 is 273, so we've got 250 would be here, 273 would be just about halfway between. Okay, so that's our scatter plot. And don't connect the dots because it is not a line graph. Okay, so next we are looking at making and reading line graphs. So line graphs, some graphs make more sense if the points are connected so that we can emphasize changes in data. So you can really see how steep a line is between the points, that kind of thing. So sometimes if it makes sense for the data, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to look at this data right here. They've already given us which one is x and which one is y. So x goes from -2 up to 2. So I guess I'm going to have to put my axes across the middle here. Okay, so I just took a moment and made an axis on here. So we've got x, a set of axes, I should say, an x and a y axis. So the first point is -2, 1. So we go -2 and up to 1. We put a point right here. The next one is -1, 2. So -1 and 2 is here. Nope, 2 is here. And let's see, fix that. We've got -2, 1, and then -1, 2, and then I've got 0, and then -2. So we're going to come down to here. And then we've got 1 and -1. And then we've got 2 and 1. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to connect the dots in order, which is something I've just never been good at with my digital pen. But those should all be straight lines, not curves. So that's how you connect those. Let's just make straight lines. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. So that's a line graph. All right, moving on to the next topic. We've got example 4, analyzing a line graph. So you're going to be given lots of problems all your life because this is more real world, looking at a graph in some sort of a website or a scientific paper or some sort of thing about economics. This is about energy consumption in the US. So the first thing you want to do before you even read the question is just try to figure out what the graph is telling you. So this says US energy consumption. And we've got energy in millions of BTUs. So that means 50 million, 100 million, 150 million, and so on. And then the year. Okay, and this little double line means it goes on. There's a break between 0 and 1970. All right, so let's go look at the question. The line graph in figure 10.9 shows the per capita energy consumption. Yes, we already figured that out. Units are in BTU. We figured that all out also by looking at the graph. Where BTU equals the amount of energy necessary to heat 1 pound of water, 1 degree Fahrenheit. Did the energy consumption ever decrease during this time period? If so, when? So take a look here, 1960 to 70 up, it goes up, and then it goes up, and then it goes down a little bit, up, and then down a little bit. So for A, I would say it decreases, and you got to say exactly when, between, let's see, 1980, this would be 1980 right here, so 70 and 90, so that's 80, and 90, between 1980 and 1990. And then again, so we'd say and. The next one is between 2000 and 2010. So 2000 and 2010. Okay? The second one is estimate the per capita energy consumption in 1960 and in 2000. So in 1960, it would be 250 million. So 1960, 250 million. And if the question on MyLab or wherever you're doing it on the computer says in millions, make sure you just say 250. All right, on C, estimate the percent change from 1960 to 2000. Oh, sorry, we forgot 2000. So let's go back to 2000. So we've got 2000 is the other one we were supposed to do. Almost skipped it. So 2000 is right here, and that's 350 million. All right, so for C, estimate the percent change in energy consumption from 1960 to 2000. So all you're going to do is subtract. So 350,000 minus 250,000 is 100,000. Sorry, million. 100 million. 250 million from 350 million is 100 million. I lost a few zeros there. All right, so basically these you just have to carefully read the question and carefully read the graph and answer the questions from the graph. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.